Sarah grew up learning how to be quiet. Not because she was timid, but because noise in her world often meant trouble. Their apartment sat above a shuttered grocery store, the kind with metal grates permanently pulled down. Sirens were background music, neighbors minded their business, and everyone knew her brother, Samir. Samir was 5 years older and carried the weight of their family like armor. After their father disappeared and their mother's health failed, Samir became everything at once: provider, protector, decision-maker. The streets gave him money faster than any honest job ever would, and he took it, telling himself it was temporary. It rarely is. Sarah, meanwhile, dreamed quietly. She studied hard, won scholarships that covered only part of her tuition, and worked evenings at a modest office building downtown as a cleaner. It wasn't glamorous, but the building was warm, safe, and smelled faintly of coffee and polished floors. Sometimes, when she finished early, she would sit near the windows and imagine what it would be like to work in a place like this during the day, dressed sharply, walking with purpose. That was how she first noticed him. Ethan Cole didn't look like what Sarah expected the biggest CEO in the city to look like. He didn't bark orders or move with arrogance. He stayed late, often alone, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened, staring at his screen as if it might argue back. He nodded at security guards. He thanked people by name. And one night, when Sarah accidentally dropped her cleaning cart near his office, he helped her pick everything up. "I'm sorry," she said quickly, embarrassed. "No harm done," he replied, smiling. "Long night." She nodded. "Always. So are mine," he said, as if that made them equals. From that night on, they exchanged small conversations. Nothing dramatic. Just greetings, weather complaints, mutual exhaustion. Sarah never asked what he did, and Ethan never asked why she worked nights. There was comfort in that unspoken agreement. Over weeks, their conversations deepened. He asked about her studies. She asked why he stayed so late. He told her about building his company from nothing, about pressure, about loneliness at the top. She told him about growing up fast, about responsibility, about dreams she was afraid to say out loud. Somewhere between shared coffee breaks and quiet laughter in empty hallways, Sarah fell in love. She didn't plan to. She didn't want to. Loving someone like Ethan felt impossible, irresponsible even. He lived in a world of boardrooms and headlines. She lived in a world of overdue bills and careful steps home at night. But feelings didn't ask permission. Ethan fell too, though it took him longer to admit it. He had dated women who impressed investors, women who fit neatly into magazine profiles. None of them listened the way Sarah did. None of them saw him without the title first. When he finally asked her to dinner, Sarah almost said no. She told Samir everything that night. Or almost everything. "He's important," she said carefully. Samir watched her face more than her words. "Do you like him?" "Yes," she admitted. "I think I love him." Samir leaned back, jaw tight. Love made people vulnerable. Vulnerable people got hurt. "What does he want from you?" "To be with me," she said. "That's all." Samir didn't answer right away. "Be careful," he said finally. "Men like that don't understand consequences." Neither of them said what they were both thinking, that Samir was one of those consequences. Ethan and Sarah's relationship grew quietly. He took her to simple places, small restaurants, long walks, bookstores, never places that felt like tests. He didn't rush her. He didn't try to change her. And one evening, standing on the balcony of his apartment, overlooking the city, he told her he loved her. She told him the truth the next day. About Samir. About the money that paid their rent. About the world she came from. Ethan listened without interrupting. When she finished, her hands were shaking. "I won't lie," he said slowly. "That scares me." "I know," she whispered. "But it doesn't change how I feel about you," he continued. "And it doesn't change who you are." Relief and fear mixed in her chest. "My brother won't trust you," she said. "I don't need him to trust me," Ethan replied. "I just need him to know I'm serious." Serious turned out to be an understatement. When Ethan asked Sarah to marry him, the world seemed to pause. She said yes through tears, joy fighting with dread. Because loving Ethan was easy. The hard part was Samir. Samir didn't take the news well. "A CEO," he repeated, incredulous. "You think his family, his world, will accept you?" "I don't care about them," Sarah said. "I care about him. And when his world pushes back?" Samir asked. When your past becomes a problem. Sarah met his gaze. Then we face it. Together. Samir saw something then, strength, not naivety. The same stubborn courage that had kept her going all these years. Ethan requested a meeting. They met in a private room at a quiet restaurant. No security. No audience. Samir sized Ethan up instantly. The suit, the calm confidence, the lack of fear. "You know who I am," Samir said. "Yes," Ethan replied. "And I know what you've done for your sister." Samir scoffed. "You don't know anything about what it costs." "I know it costs you," Ethan said. "Every day." The words landed harder than threats ever could. "I love your sister," Ethan continued. "I want to marry her. But I won't do it by ignoring reality. If we do this, it has to be clean." Samir's eyes narrowed. "You're asking me to walk away." "I'm asking you to let her walk forward," Ethan said. Silence stretched between them. Samir had built his life on control. Letting go felt like stepping off a cliff. But he thought of Sarah as a child, holding his hand too tightly. He thought of the promises he made over hospital beds and empty fridges. He had never wanted this life for her. "Give me time," Samir said finally. Time meant consequences. Over the next months, Samir dismantled his empire piece by piece. He paid off debts. He cut ties. He took losses that hurt his pride more than his wallet. Some doors closed forever. A few threats followed him. But he endured them. Ethan didn't interfere. He didn't buy Samir out or offer protection. Respect meant letting a man choose his own redemption. The wedding was small. No press. No spectacle. Sarah wore a simple dress. Samir walked her down the aisle, his face unreadable until the last moment, when his eyes filled with tears he didn't bother hiding. When Ethan took Sarah's hands, he looked at Samir and nodded. Not as a CEO. As a man asking permission. Samir nodded back. Years later, people would still whisper about how a poor girl married the biggest CEO. Some would mention her gangster brother as if that explained everything. They were wrong. What made it possible wasn't power or money or fear. It was love that didn't look away from truth. A brother willing to lose everything to give his sister a future. And a man who chose a woman not despite where she came from, but because of who she was. Sarah sometimes stood in her new life and thought of the old one, not with shame, but with gratitude. It had shaped her. It had tested her. And it had proven something simple and rare. That even the hardest past doesn't get to decide who deserves happiness.